Let me ask you something before we do anything else. Have you noticed that the start of the new year doesn't actually feel fresh anymore? Like everyone tells you it's a clean slate, a new beginning, a fresh start. But inside, it just feels heavy, not because you're lazy, not because you're broken, not because you didn't manifest hard enough last year, but because your nervous system hasn't caught up with the idea of beginning again. January isn't about forcing momentum. January is about remembering who you are. And that's why January is ruled by the energy of one, the soul body. This month is not asking you to do more. It's asking you to come home. Hello, my love. I'm Cherry. I'm a spiritual life coach, numerologist, and energy alchemist. And this channel is about motivation. It's about remembrance. Here we work with numerology through the lens of the 10 energy bodies, not as mindset hacks, but as embodied nervous system safe initiations. Each month, I'm going to walk you through the energy you are living inside of, so you stop fighting yourself and start moving with life instead of against it. So if you've ever thought, I don't know who I am anymore, I feel disconnected from myself, I want to start, but I just don't know where, you're exactly where you're meant to be. January carries the energy one body, the soul body. This is not the mind. This is not your identity. This is not your roles, your trauma, your labels, or your story. The soul body is the seed, the part of you that existed before conditioning, before the people pleasing, before survival strategies. And here's the thing most people don't realize. When the soul body is weak, the nervous system stays in survival because the body doesn't know who it's organizing itself around. That's why January can feel disorientating, lonely, foggy, emotionally flat, or weirdly intense. Not because something is wrong, but because your system is asking, who am I now? So let's talk about how the one shows up when it's unintegrated. In the shadow of the soul body, you might notice being incredibly hard on yourself, overthinking even more, feeling behind before you've even started, waiting for clarity that never seems to come, isolating instead of resting. And here's the part I need you to hear clearly. This isn't a mindset issue. This is a soul disconnect issue. When you don't feel connected to who you are, your nervous system tries to create safety through control. So you think more, plan more, judge yourself more. But the soul doesn't speak in pressure. It speaks in the quiet knowing. Your nervous system hates false beginnings. It knows when you're trying to skip steps. And January isn't step 10. It's step 1. The nervous system needs safety, orientation, identity. And Energy 1 provides exactly that. When you slow down enough to let it. This month isn't about building the whole year. It's about establishing internal leadership, self-leadership. Not discipline, not motivation, and not hustle. Self-leadership means I trust myself enough to listen. I want to give you something simple but potent. Every morning in January, before you touch your phone, ask yourself, who am I? Who am I today? Not what you need to do, not who you need to be for others, but who are you? Let the answer be a quality, not a role, like calm, curious, grounded, soft, steady. This is how the soul body begins to lead. We're going to go much deeper into loneliness versus aloneness, into ego death, into identity collapse, into why trying to reinvent yourself right now backfires. But for now, let this land. January is not asking you to become someone else, someone new. It's asking you to remember who you were before you forgot. Let's talk about the feeling that sneaks in quietly in January. The one people don't post about. The one they try to outrun with plans, goals, and noise. Loneliness. But here's the truth most people have never been taught. Loneliness and aloneness are not the same thing. And the soul body knows the difference. When the first energy body is awakening, life naturally pulls you inward. Not to punish you, not to isolate you, but to introduce you back to yourself. Aloneness is where your nervous system decompresses. Your identity softens. Your intuition gets louder. Your energy stops leaking outwards. Loneliness, on the other hand, is what happens when the ego interprets aloneness as rejection. The ego says, I've been left. I don't belong. Something must be wrong with me. But the soul says, be still. I'm here. If you're a people pleaser, January can feel brutal because your sense of safety has been built through connection to others. When the noise quiets, when the calendar empties, when there's no one to respond to, your nervous system panics. But not because you need people, but because you haven't been taught how to stay with yourself. This month exposes that pattern, not to shame you, but to heal you. Your nervous system cannot reset while it's constantly orientating to others. The soul body requires reduced stimulation, slower pacing, fewer inputs, deeper listening. This is why January feels quieter, slower, heavier. It's not depression, it's down regulation. And if you fight it, you create anxiety. If you honor it, you create clarity. I want to introduce you to a concept that changes everything: soul dating. This isn't journaling to fix yourself. This isn't meditation to become better. This is learning how to spend time with your soul without an agenda. And here's how. Once a day in January, create 10 minutes of intentional solitude. No phone, no music, no self-improvement. Just sit, breathe, and ask one question. What do you want me to know today? Then just listen. No analysing, no arguing, no action required. Just listening. Let's clear something up. Ego death isn't dramatic. It's subtle. It's quiet. Ego death is when old identities stop motivating you. Old roles stop fitting. Old goals feel hollow. And instead of panicking, you pause. January is often when ego death begins, because the soul body is asking, are you willing to lead from truth instead of habit? If aloneness feels uncomfortable, your nervous system needs reassurance. So try this practice. Place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. Breathe slowly and say quietly, I am with myself. Repeat this until your body actually softens. This isn't affirmation. It's orientation. Here's the part people resist. The soul body does not give clarity first. She gives direction. Clarity comes after you obey. January might not tell you the whole plan, but it will nudge you towards truth. Rest, cancel, say no, begin, leave. Small moments, big alignment. Before we move on, let this settle. You are not lonely. You are not learning how to be alone without abandoning yourself. That's mastery. There's a moment that happens for a lot of people in January. It's quiet. It's subtle. And if you don't understand it, you'll think something has gone wrong. You wake up one day and the old version of you just doesn't work anymore. The goals that used to excite you feel flat. The roles you played effortlessly feel heavy. The motivation you rely on has just disappeared. And instead of curiosity, most people just feel panic. Let me be very clear about this. When the soul body is leading, identities shed. Not because you're regressing, not because you've lost discipline, but because identities are containers and the soul outgrows them. January is not asking you to become someone new. It's asking you to stop pretending to be who you no longer are. That's uncomfortable because identity equals safety to the nervous system. If you spent your life being liked, needed, or approved of, your identity has been shaped externally. I'm the reliable one. I'm the strong one. I'm the one who keeps things together. So when those identities fall away, your nervous system can interpret it as danger. But what's actually happening is this. Your soul body is reclaiming leadership. So let's dismantle something that keeps people stuck every January. Motivation is not a soul function. It's a survival strategy. Motivation comes from pressure, from fear, from proving. The soul doesn't motivate, she directs. That's why forcing motivation in January backfires. You're trying to drag the soul with the mind, and she will not go. When identity sheds, the nervous system enters a liminal space. Not old, not new. This is where freeze can show up. Not because you're broken, but because your system is recalibrating orientation. The mistake, trying to move too fast. The medicine, staying present. This practice is simple but profound. Sit comfortably. I'd like you to sit comfortably, close your eyes and say quietly, I release who I need to be to survive. Then say, I make space for who I am becoming. No visualization needed. No emotion required. Just let the body do the work. If you're not meant to set goals in January, what are you meant to do? You orientate. You listen for what feels lighter, what drains you less, what feels honest. Soul-led beginnings are small and subtle, unimpressive to the ego, but they compound. If nothing feels clear yet, good. Clarity is not the goal of January. Integrity is. This is the point in January where most people turn against themselves. They say, I should be doing more by now. I've wasted half the month. I need to get disciplined. And that's where things go sideways. Self-discipline is not bad, but it is not the foundation. Discipline without self-connection becomes punishment, and punishment never creates sustainable change. When the soul body is leading, the nervous system needs trust, not pressure. January is not asking you to control yourself. It's asking you to lead yourself. And self-leadership is quiet. It doesn't shout and it doesn't threaten. Self-leadership sounds like, I hear you. We'll go slowly. I won't abandon you to force an outcome. This is why Energy 1 is not about dominance. It's about inner authority. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything. Here's a question that changes everything. Am I resting or am I avoiding? Rest leaves you feeling clearer. Avoidance leaves you feeling heavier. Rest reconnects you to yourself. Avoidance disconnects you from yourself. The difference is not what you're doing, it's what's happening afterwards. Now, January invites rest, but only the kind that restores self-trust. This is why when you feel stuck or self-critical, sit upright, feet on the floor, and say internally, I am in charge and I am kind. Let your spine lengthen. Let your shoulders soften. Leadership begins in posture. Self-trust doesn't come from consistency. It comes from not abandoning yourself when things get messy. Every time you honor your limits, stop forcing clarity, listen instead of pushing, you rebuild trust. And trust is what carries you forward, not motivation. And here's something important. January doesn't end with action. It ends with orientation. If you leave January feeling more honest, less rushed, more self-aware, you've done it right. February will ask you to relate, but January asks you to belong to yourself first. So close your eyes, bring your attention to your breath. Imagine a gentle line of light running through your spine, not forcing, not activating, just present. And say quietly to yourself, I trust myself to lead. Stay here for several breaths. This is enough. January isn't meant to impress. It's meant to stabilize the one person you live with for the rest of your life, you. If you've softened instead of sprinted, if you've listened instead of pushed, if you've stayed instead of abandoned yourself, you've embodied the energy of one. Before we step forward, we pause, not to analyze, not to optimize, but to integrate. Because the soul body doesn't rush, and what isn't integrated becomes noise in the next phase. Whether you realize it or not, January asks you to stop abandoning yourself. Release identities built for survival. Soften your nervous system. Establish inner authority. And listen instead of force. If you don't do much, good. You are doing foundational work. The soul body doesn't build outward. It stabilizes inward. Let's name a few traps so you don't carry them forward. Forcing clarity before trust is built. Using discipline to override intuition. Interpreting slowness as failure. Trying to be visible before feeling anchored. If any of those show up, nothing has gone wrong. Awareness is the correction. Here's the energetic truth. January asks who I am. February asks how do I relate. Now February is ruled by the energy 2, the negative body, the nervous system, boundaries, belonging. You cannot do February well if January was skipped, because February activates relationships, and relationships without self-leadership become people-pleasing. Energy 2 is not about saying yes to others. It's about feeling safe with others. That safety comes from knowing yourself, trusting your signals, honouring your limits. January built the container. February tests the edges. As February begins, you may notice increased sensitivity, longing for connection, boundary confusion, emotional reactivity. This is not regression. This is activation. The negative body is coming online. To close January and prepare for February, try this. Stand with your feet hip width apart. Place one hand on your heart and the other hand on your belly. And say quietly, I belong to myself. Then say, I choose connection that honours me. Let your body feel the difference. January didn't ask you to shine. It asked you to root. February will ask you to relate, but you'll do it differently now. From choice, from clarity, from self-trust. This is how the year is built, not through force, but through embodiment. All right, before I end this video, I want to anchor this into something practical for you. If this month's energy resonated, if you felt yourself recognize patterns, emotions, or behaviors you couldn't quite explain before, that's not random. That's numerology doing what it does best, giving language to what your body already knows. If you want to go deeper, I've created a free numerology guide that walks you through your core numbers, how they shape your nervous system, relationships and decision making, and how to work with your natural energy instead of fighting it. You can download that free guide using the link below. It's designed to help you understand your numbers, not just the energy of the month, so you can meet each cycle with clarity, compassion, and self-trust. And if you want ongoing guidance like this, monthly energy readings, nervous system numerology, and grounded spiritual teaching, make sure you subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell. This isn't just content. It's a space to slow down, reconnect with yourself, and learn how to live in rhythm with your energy. If this landed for you, drop a comment and let me know what resonated. I'm really glad you're here. Until next time, stay grounded, stay gentle with yourself, and remember, your energy is not a problem to fix. It's wisdom waiting to be listened to. Bye for now.